And we are up and running on YouTube. Let's change cameras. Okay, we're live YouTube. There we go.
Okay.
Welcome everybody. Bill Gross, eXp Realty in beautiful Los Angeles, California. I'm the host of our regular Tuesday weekly real estate investing group, a meetup. I started this as an offshoot during COVID when the meeting I used to go to in Van Nuys at the Sizzler was canceled because of COVID. So I decided to try to replace it on my own by putting it online. Here we are as a Zoom call. We meet every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And then we strive it live on YouTube with a little bit of technical challenges every week, as well as record it. So we use Eventbrite to sign up. So thank you for being on the call today. My vision of this call is kind of like that meeting was. I think it was from brand new investors to experienced, and the concept that brand new people need some help and experienced people can offer that help and use the energy. And also the idea is if you have a deal to bring it to the party. So if you're an active investor and you have something that maybe you're not ready to invest in on your own, but you want to maybe offer the group as a wholesale, or maybe you're a wholesaler and you have one you're trying to get off your chest, or an agent with an off-market listing, bring it here. Best to bring it to me ahead of time and I can vet the deal. But we want to bring some business here to the marketplace every week. We vary topics from fix and flips to multifamily to I see Paul Krause, remodeling issues, both here in California and out of state. So thanks for being on the call today. And I just want to share a couple of things before we get started, if I could. I spent this weekend, as much as I was able to, watching Grant Cardone's 10X conference, 10X Growth Conference. Who besides me saw that? Anybody? No?
I was plugging in and out throughout the weekend.
This was in and out, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was held live in South Florida, but it was on video, and it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I got some bits and pieces. Nobody else saw besides me. And, I am a big fan. Look, every coach you ever meet, there's pluses and minuses, and I don't mean to imply that any of them are perfect or the only one that you should use. But I would say that, if you could find something from them to take away, the thing that I found most intriguing about Grant's was I think he was really getting it down to you really need to have a system that you work. And I think so often when I travel social media world, so many people make it seem, find what's effortless and follow your passion. And I always thought maybe it was just me, but he said something that I thought was right, which is you got to follow your passion. But if you want to build anything of any value in anything in life, you're going to have to work really hard at it and be prepared to put the effort in consistently over time. And so I think that oftentimes a lot of these events I get invited to make it sound like, well, if you just do this, you're gonna make a lot of money. Well, that's probably true if you do this thing regularly with intensity over a period of time. But if it was just a quick fix to make millions, the person speaking would be doing that instead of teaching you how to do it. And so it's really refreshing to hear Grant talk about how important it is. And he had a wide variety of people. He had A-Rod, former superstar, New York Yankees, baseball player turned really businessman superstar as well. Pitbull was another one. If you ever see Mr. Worldwide, you might get the impression he's just a party animal. But he is a savvy businessman. And he also talked about how long and hard he worked to become famous. People think of him as having arrived after one song or another song, and not realizing it was day after day, year after year of hard work in a certain field to learn it, to build the business. And I think that's true in real estate as well. So be prepared to find an area. And I often see brand new people who come to these meetings and they'll spend time and they'll say, well, I'm looking for my niche. I'm looking for my area to work in. And there are a lot of areas of real estate you can make money in. notes, subject tos, ADUs, Airbnb. There's a million ways to make money in real estate. But the ones who do it, I have found, and I heard Grant Cardone kind of confirm for me, and a couple other people this weekend confirmed that it doesn't matter which of those niches you pick. It matters you pick a niche and you work at it relentlessly. You work it with vigor. You make it your passion. You make it the area that you want to learn about. And I'll just share with you personally, I made that decision to commit to probate real estate a couple of years ago. And I've bought books and watched videos and made it my passion to learn as much as I could about it in order to be great at it, in order to be successful at it. And it's hard work. I still do that hard work today. So I would urge anybody here, if you're looking for an easy, get quick, rich formula, this is probably not the place that I'm aware of. If I knew that, I'd be doing that instead. But if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and work hard and learn and humble yourself and ask for help and find help from people here, I'm here to help you 100% that I can possibly help you. So anyhow, that was what I got out of that this weekend. Anybody else on this call part of Grant Cardone's event this weekend or hear any of it? No?
No.
Anybody here have any get rich quick tips you want to share with us after my rant and rave on the subject? If you have one, feel free to share it with the group. No? Okay. Well, one of the best ways I think to get rich is to surround yourself with the best people. And the difference between good and great in any field, it's a lot of little things. Again, and also A-Rod said that in baseball, he said it was true. It's a lot of little things that separate the great baseball players from the good ones or the above average ones. And when you play at the professional level, they're all already great, right? It's like the great and then the best of the best. And he said continuously, the difference was doing the little things right over and over again. One of the great people in this industry that I've had the privilege to work with here, who's joined us today as a guest, is Kevin Sales. He happens to be a title rep. He's also a coach. He's also a friend. He's also a businessman who built his business and done a great job of keeping in touch with the people he's met. And so I'd asked him to be on today. So Kevin, thank you for joining us today.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
So, I think one of the things that we make a mistake as real estate agents is we assume that the value you create for us is in the realm of just title. And true, you've done a great job helping me with resources and untangling problems. But I think that when I look back on the couple of years now we've worked together, the real value has been really your focus and your support on my just building a business. You've seen real estate agents and investors and wholesalers. I'm sure you meet a lot of them who are going to tell you they're going to take on the world and fall apart. You see other ones who make it big. What's the difference between those that you see that that make it this business and those that maybe fall apart after 90 days or 6 months?
Well, one of them is work ethic. The ones that come into this business and work hard and work the job like a 9-to-5 are the ones that are most successful. I watched for years agents that would, so the person is, they work for DWP or they're a school teacher and they had that job and now they're a full-time real estate agent. And I used to laugh because I was like, when they worked at DWP, I'm sure they had to be at their desk at 9 o'clock in the morning. They had to do whatever the tasks were for the whole day. And then at 5 o'clock, they got off and they worked all day. And yet those same individuals would come into the real estate office 9:45, 10 o'clock. They're eating breakfast. They take lunch for 2 hours at 1. It's like, you did 3 hours of work today. And then they wonder why they don't have any business. So the ones that I've seen that are diligent, that have systems in place to consistently market themselves, those are the ones I've seen be successful over the years.
Okay. When you say work, you see real estate agents all the time and you see real estate professionals all the time who are doing something that's not work and not productive. And these other ones that are really doing the things that generate. What are the activities that you see consistently that people make it or doing? What are the most common activities that you see going on?
It's all marketing activities. It's all marketing and prospecting activities. And that can be defined a bunch of different ways. It can be networking. It can be making phone calls to call people. It can be getting my mailer out to my sphere of influence. It can be putting together my social media ad so that my ad is going to my contact list so that they're seeing me on social media. There's a whole list of things that can be done there. But the key is that the marketing activities have to be most important. I'm a very big believer that you have to outsource some of it, because if you're doing social media stuff, you shouldn't touch it. Someone should post the ad. It goes to your contacts. You maybe create the content, but they handle all that back office stuff when the ad gets turned down and they got to get it back on. They handle all of that stuff for you so that you can focus on the stuff that does require your contact, like making a phone call and that sort of thing. And Bill, I learned in 1993, I worked with a manager of mine. It's funny because she's pretty much out of the business. I mean, she still invests and has some stuff, but she doesn't really work on a day-to-day basis anymore. And I talked to her probably about a month ago. And I don't know if I mentioned it on this call with her, but I've told her since. Back in 1993, she said, my job as a sales manager is to manage the activities that achieve results. And essentially what she was saying is, my job as a sales manager is to make sure that the telemarketing calls are happening, that reaching out to the contacts are happening so that we can get loans done we were in a loan business. And it's the same thing for all of us that are self-employed or working as real estate agents. I do title insurance. It's like being self-employed. I have to manage the activities that achieve results. So for an agent that's contacting homeowners daily, that's going to networking events to meet new people, that's asking people in your sphere of influence, who do you know that wants to buy or sell real estate this year? And so doing that over and over and getting mailers out and making phone calls and door knocking and showing houses, all of those things are the activities that achieve results.
Now, be honest, are there people who make a lot of money and don't work hard?
You know, I think in our business, you're always going to end up working. So there are some people that have a huge network, or maybe they built their network over the years and now business just comes into them now. And so they don't work as hard now, but they put in the time in the past. So it's kind of like a vehicle. So if my car broke down, I can get behind it and start pushing it and running and running. And once we get over the crest of the hill, it's going to ride downhill after that, right? But we had to do the work to push it to get it to go on that downhill slope. So usually the ones that are like that, they have built it over time and now they don't work as hard as they used to.
Now, in some regards, we touch base, not every day, but during the week a couple of times typically. In some regards, we have some similar alignment of the market. In other parts, we're different. I say all the time, in my career since 1986, this is the best time ever in my career for people to get started in real estate because of all the money that's available, all the cash that's available, and just because the transitions create opportunity. What do you see? Is that reasonable? Am I being overly optimistic when I say that?
It's hard for me to say like when is the absolute best time. I will say for sure in the last 6 months, no, probably in the last 3 months, I should say, I have had quite a few agents who've been doing well in this business for quite a while say last year was the best year ever in my career. Yeah. And last year wasn't my best year ever. I had some really good years, before the mortgage meltdown, but last year was definitely up there near the top. It was a really good year last year. And so I've seen so many people that say that it's got to make me think, Bill, that you're correct, that now is one of the best times ever to get in. And, people have to, so prior to the mortgage meltdown, that's when everybody could qualify for a loan. So people that got into the business then didn't have to learn how to do the business, because every person you talk to as a real estate agent could buy a house.
Right.
They don't have any income, no problem. Just put that they're some sort of civil engineer and they make $100,000 a year and they'll qualify. Then when the crash happened, everyone had to qualify. So then it was harder to find clients. It was harder to find people who would qualify. And the people in the business, the agents that did not learn how to really do our business struggled. The ones that knew, okay, it's time to market myself, it's time to make phone calls, it's time to door knock, it's time to do all of the work in real estate, those are the ones that survived. And so anyone getting in the business now, I hope that's what they do. I think they will have to, because there's still a shortage of listings. So they're going to have to work, and you're going to have to put in the labor to learn how to generate business in real estate. And if they do that, they're going to be good for the long haul, because once you learn it, you can just duplicate it over and over.
But literally anybody who's even brand new, who finds somebody who has to sell a property, If they have to sell, to me, definition means they're willing to sell it for the price that will cause it to sell. If you find somebody who has to sell, you're going to get paid today, right?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
it doesn't cost anything to find somebody who has to sell. You can cold call, you can door knock, you can social media. There's a million different ways you can do it. Like I've never seen a time where literally you don't have to do anything other than find a lead of somebody has to sell and you can get paid money today, right?
That's absolutely correct. In our Southern California market and in numerous markets across the nation, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit about when you know, not to pigeonhole you at all, but professionally, I know you're a coach. You know, I signed up for your probate sales coaching 201. Is that to put a little pitch out for that, right? You have a Facebook group 101, and then you sign up for the 201, so you do coaching. You're an author.
Yeah.
But you got into that primarily being a title rep. Your basic job on a daily basis, your basic business is finding people who need title services. So tell me about that. What does that look like? What do you do that people like me choose to work with you as a title representative?
Yeah, so my job essentially is to hopefully have people that are in real estate, whether it's an escrow officer or a real estate agent or a lender, have them use our title company for their title services. And what I found very early on when I got into this part of the business is it's like rubbing alcohol. You know, if one of you said, Kevin, I need some rubbing alcohol, and if I go run over to Walgreens and bring back raw Walgreens brand rubbing alcohol, I doubt any of you would say, oh, no, I would never use Walgreens alcohol. I only use CVS rubbing alcohol, right? Rubbing alcohol is just rubbing alcohol. It's a chemical. It's wherever you get it from, it's going to be fine. There's no brand that stands out, right? And so I found very early on that it's like that, except for the service. It's about the service. And so I focus on giving a high level of service. I focus on giving top-notch service. I've only worked with companies that can give that level of service. The first title company I worked for, I was there 8.5 years. That last year that I was there, the service started going down. And that's when I knew I can't stay here. If I'm going to lose deals or my clients' deals are not going to work, I can't stay here. And I left there. And another title company I worked at after that, worked there great for 4 years, and then they were in bankruptcy. And because they were in bankruptcy, they were like, oh, we can't take any risks on deals. We've got to be really conservative in our underwriting. And I was like, yeah, I can't stay here any longer. So essentially for me, I have to be at a company that can support the level of service that I want to provide to my clients. And then I have to go above and beyond. I've always said I'm not an order taker. If you want an order taker, go to McDonald's, tell them you want some fries, they'll make it for you. What my job is to do is to help people, to help them in their business, to help them achieve the greatest possible, whatever it is their goal is. If it's the most number of sales or the greatest possible service for their individual client or whatever that may be, my goal is to help them achieve that.
I have to tell you a cute story. You don't even know this. Something you and I were texting on today, and I think the people in the phone call appreciate. So I primarily work in probate real estate, and I was negotiating with the other agent. Normally in real estate, the listing agent kind of dictates who the title is, but you know, I try to take care of my customers. And so in this case, I was demanding to select title, and the other agent asked who it was. I told him it was you. And go, oh yeah, Kevin's great. And so we agreed to have Kevin be our title rep on this deal. And the way probate works is you're supposed to close within 10 days of receiving a document, but you don't know when that's going to be. The document could be 1 day or 30 days. What happens is the original is down at the courthouse, and you have to get a copy, and a certified copy has to be delivered in order to start the timeline. Unbeknownst to you, Kevin, my buyer is trying to drag a few extra days because we're behind getting the financing set up. And so I didn't tell you this, but you're texting me like, I'm sorry, Esther texted me, oh, don't worry, Kevin sells, she's a big fan too. Kevin sells to go pick up the thing at the court and hustle it in to save us a couple of days. And I'm like, oh, damn it, I wonder if I text Kevin and he lost it. Would he do that for me or not? Like, I'm not going to put you in that position. But my point is, here you're giving great service. Most title reps don't even know what they're supposed to do. And here you're hustling around, saving us 2 or 3 days in the close, which at the end is always the right thing. But I just think it's kind of funny that, you know, here you have a great reputation for service. I'm just not appreciating it on this particular deal. But
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes on that one, Bill. And this one is interesting because the attorney, attorneys do their job, but some of them can be more helpful and some of them can be a little less helpful.
Right.
And I'll just say that in this situation, there was a lot of less helpfulness going on. And at some point,
Right.
it's like I can keep on working on it and keep helping out, or at some point, let's just jump in and get the thing done. And on this one, I was like, I'm going to be downtown. Let me just help you guys out and get it done. So,
because I tell my client, absent my help, the attorney or the other agent will never know what they need to do to close the deal. And we could have an extra month if you want.
True.
That's kind of what I told them, right? Because I know what I'm supposed to do, but the other guys know what he's supposed to do. And meanwhile, but no, you do have a reputation and it makes it easy to do business with you. So, hey, look, guys on the call today, you have on the call here a real professional. This is a guy who works full-time in real estate. He's built a business. He does coaching as well. He works with all kinds of realtors, wholesalers, and investors. He has seen it all, works here in Southern California. A chance to ask a question. I don't see, well, hold on. I got one in the chat box from Danny. Can you share your title company name and information? I'm sure you're glad to do that.
Yeah, I work for Lawyers Title. I'll put my info in the chat here so that you have it. But I work for Lawyers Title.
Good, Lawyers Title. And if someone would reach you via an email or phone number would be great as well.
Absolutely. I'm putting it all in the chat.
Fantastic. So Danny will get it in the chat. And if you don't get it there, Danny, well, you texted, so you should be able to get that. Okay, so for the rest of you, here's a chance. Look, if you're starting out in your career or you're struggling and need to reboot, here's a chance to talk to a guy who's been at it year after year at the highest level. He has customers at the highest level of business. Who's got a question for Kevin? Well, come on.
Bill, I do.
Go right ahead, Paul.
Hey, hi, Kevin.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for being on the call. If I wanted to get distress properties that are not just 1 to 4 units, but 8 unit, 12 unit, or whatever. I've always struggled with where exactly I should be going to get that data, because it seems like there's a lot of third-party providers out there. But do you have a vendor you like or a source you like when it's beyond 4 units?
Yeah, so the best source I like for defaults in general, notice the defaults and notice the sale, is Retran. I have not found a provider that has data that's more current or more accurate than Retran. Retran.net, Retran.net. They're phenomenal at that. Now, when it comes to units, I don't remember on their site if you can actually specify that you want more than 4 units. So you might have to do a little bit of filtering with that. There's another way to get them, and so Black Knight is a company that offers the Title Pro. If any of you use Title Pro 247, that Black Knight is the company that is behind that company. By the way,
Right.
You get data and stuff from title companies. None of us title companies house that data. We all buy it from some other company. So our company also uses Title Pro. And on their website, you can do default stuff, and you can also specify units that you want, 5 or more units. So that would be another really good source to get them from. The default situation, especially I think on commercial, is going to be a great market going forward, because if you drive, I've driven all over, right? And everywhere I go, I see vacancies and beautiful storefront or beautiful office space, and I see so many vacancies because a lot of companies have learned either they've gone out of business or they've been challenged with COVID. But many companies have also learned, what, we can survive without all these people in one location, one office. Let's put them all at their homes. A friend of mine, an agent of mine that I work with, he said a client, he helped her buy a property 7 months ago, and she called and said, she works for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, I believe, at the corporate office. And her company told her, you guys are all permanently working from home. So she's like, I'm going to move to Arizona. I've already made 75 grand in equity on my house that I just bought 7 months ago. I could sell that, put that down on a $200,000 house, and move to Arizona, make the same pay I make here. So I think there's going to be more and more of that. I think, at some point when you have something like this, you always got to pay the piper at some point. And all these vacancies are going to generate opportunities in commercial real estate. So if that's something you're interested in, I think you should get ready because it's coming.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent.
I have
put
a
the-
question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was just wondering about like Propstream versus REI Pro versus Privy versus Renatus. I've been doing kind of a comparison about which lead generation company and also just for running comps, what's the best tool I could be using rather than just the MLS, which I don't have access to except for like Zillow. I'm not a real estate agent. So what do you suggest for running comps and lead generation
And are you
tools?
in California or are you outside of the state?
I'm in California, but I'm looking to invest in Indiana.
Okay, so if you're in California, title companies offer a lot of services. So if it sounds like you must be an investor. If you're an investor and if you close enough transactions with a title company or with a real estate agent, they can get that access for you yourself, and you might not even have to pay. If that's not the case, or you're looking for other states and stuff like that, what is it? Property Radar is a good one. I believe you can get comp information. You can also, in Property Radar, you can also track foreclosure data and stuff. And my understanding is in that system, I haven't been in that system in a long time, but my understanding in that system is that there are ways you can see a foreclosure, and then you can also track it and make notifications and stuff like that. I believe that's what happens in that system. So that may be a good system for that. Now, you mentioned 3 or 4 different systems. I haven't heard of any of those. I don't know what those systems are. I don't know what they're used for. So maybe there's some sort of lead generation. There are tons of different companies out there that will generate leads for you. But, I think you got to think long and hard and look at what you're actually getting, what the data is that you're getting and where it's coming from to know what type of lead that you're getting. Because I've seen people, one real estate company would get the bottom of the barrel leads from a title company. I mean, the most basic thing. And they were not selling them for cost, but selling them to their agents as, hey, I'm providing these leads. I'm buying leads for you and giving this stuff. And when I looked at it, I'm like, these are just, it's basically a phone book. It's basically walk out on any street and just every single door there is what they were getting. There was no criteria put in to make those leads better. There was no distress or any other characteristic that might make it a lower hanging fruit. And so you've got to look at what the data you're really getting and figure your marketing approach based on the data that you're getting.
Well, let me just ask real quick about the group. Who here uses Propstream or Property Radar or one of those services for you talk about Retrand.net? There's a million of them in probate, especially. Who here uses any of those services?
Yeah, I
successfully?
have used Propstream.
Yeah,
They're pretty good. Any urban address in America, you can pull up or create lists of or you can call out by distressed properties or 2 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms, all different kinds of ways of filtering the search. It will map it. It'll give you their idea of value. It'll show you comps. So it was a good service. It was $100 a month.
So Abraham's a good friend of mine who's used Propstream to just buy his second fix and flip in the state of Kansas, right?
Well, by now I'm on MLS, so I used MLS, which is more powerful. But Propstream was pretty good.
So you're using Propstream before and now you use the MLS. Okay.
Right, I'm already paying the MLS dues. So
Exactly. Good. Anybody else? And just to jump in, anybody else here use Propstream or Property Radar? Dave Warneman, what do you use?
Actually, I jumped the gun. I think I haven't used that service.
Oh, okay.
I did want to maybe
Andrews?
a comment, just to kind of a piggyback on what Kevin was saying, and that has to do with the commercial marketplace these days, and what's changed. People go. I have another company, and we have 60, 70, maybe more employees that are all working from home. And you're right. It's like, what do we need all this office space for? So we've renegotiated with our landlord and are carrying that back substantially. But the point I wanted to kind of piggyback on is that commercial, what happens with all that space type of talk. Maybe that's not necessarily your what you were planning on talking about, Kevin, today. But I see it moving into the more residential / mixed use space conversion of office building or buildings, whether they be modest sized 1 or 2 story or multiple stories. We're seeing a lot of opportunities being kind of passing right by us. We're not ready to take advantage of them quite yet because we think the deals are going to get better in that world. But anyway, just thought I would throw that out there. And
That's a great.
Kevin, thanks for being on the call.
Oh, no problem. And that's a great question. I was on a call earlier. I have a great strip mall that's near my home, really, really close, walking distance. And we were going to move, at least I was trying to convince my wife to move to Los Angeles years back. I live in the Pasadena area. And she was like, no, because everything's right here. I can walk across the street and I can shop, I can get food, everything. And so here's what's happened. Toys R Us has closed. Party City has closed. Round Table Pizza has closed. Kirkland Home has closed. So this awesome strip mall, which still has some nice big anchor tenants that are national tenants that aren't going anywhere, but some huge ones are gone. And so I look at it and I go, is this place going to become a ghost town? But so I was on a webinar another time, and I was asking, I said, Toys R Us, think about how big this was a big Toys R Us, that big old space. Who in the world, who in their right mind in business today is going to be renting that space? Toys R Us closed, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. That place has been vacant ever since. I don't know a company. And someone posted in this webinar, they said, what about Amazon Fresh? And I said, that's a good point. See, so one is going to go away, and you might be right that maybe these are going to convert, a lot of these might convert to residential conversions or mixed use conversions. But that space could be for an Amazon Fresh. I mean, if you drive a few miles that way, then there's a Sears that went out of business. I'm sure if I go a few miles that way, there's a JCPenney's or something else that's going out of business. Some of these big locations might be filled with some sort of fulfillment centers. I
didn't mean to suggest that I thought that was the only way that the only change that was likely to occur, but certainly one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is going to happen as we watch the future unfold here.
Absolutely. And I like the discussion because I want to know what's going to happen. I'm glad I was talking about that today because someone, or that other day when someone said, what about Amazon Fresh? Because I hadn't thought of that. I don't order from Amazon Fresh, so it's not in my radar. But it's a great thing we have to think about because it's going to create business opportunities. Just like nowadays, especially in certain areas like Southern California, we have to be mindful of if people want to use properties for Airbnb, even though City of LA is being real strict on that, but Airbnb has completely changed the game on the way investors can invest. You can take a property that was going to rent for $1,200 a month, and now you can make $2,000 or $2,500 or $3,000 a month just by doing short-term rentals. And so these changes in business, here we're talking about commercial real estate, are important for us because it can change who your clients are going to be in the future.
Yeah.
I
live in West LA, and they just announced that the local Ralph's on Beverville and Pico is shutting. That's been an institution here for a long time. And the company said it's because the increase in hourly wage rate, the minimum wage, makes their margins go away. You have a lot of employees, and they have union employees who get raises based on that. And so, here we live in Los Angeles, and here we have a global pandemic and all that goes with that. And then we also have, and I'm happy for people who get a wage rate, hike because the minimum wage going up, but it's also some businesses are going to change because of it. So one thing we should get ready for is the increased pace of change here particularly in the Los Angeles area.
That's part of the inflation that we should all be ready for, right, Bill?
Well, you better pay attention and look for it. I mean, why else is Bitcoin selling at $60,000 a piece? Because there are people who have a lot of money who are worried about putting it all in dollars that are going to be devalued if inflation increases. And we know that rates went up about 1/3% just in the last couple of weeks. So what we don't know is that beginning of a trend, or is that just an adjustment and maybe where we're going to be for a while? But having been through a high interest rate period, I can tell you it can have devastating consequences to people's income and wealth. And look at gas prices. I mean, it's just shocking. Every time I get gas now, how quickly it's gone. As little as I drive, how quickly it's gone up. And if I was driving a lot, it would really affect me financially. It doesn't today, but crazy times we live in. Anybody else use Property Radar or Propstream or any other tool for data that you can share with us?
Bill, this is Anders. I do. I use have used 4 tools: Propstream, Property Radar, something called Deal Machine, and something called REI Black Book. And when it comes to property information, they're kind of the same, and you will get about the same. Sometimes there is a little bit of a difference between them. What I've seen is the big difference is what lists you can pull and the marketing feature that is built into it, and that is often also what is the difference in price. If some have voiceless mail drops, some have most of them have direct mailing, and when it comes to lists, what lists you can pull. Propstream have been pulling. You can have pretty, or used to have pretty good lists with like you can pull a list of people that have just divorced and things like that. So it all depends a little bit of what you. My experience is that a little bit what you want to do and what your target is and so forth. Yeah, it's and I have not stayed. The only one I've stayed with is Property Radar, and then I am kind of paying a month here and a month there a little bit what I need, what lists I need to pull, and what marketing tool I need to use.
Thank you. Thank you, Anders.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very helpful. I think Propstream looks really awesome. I've done a lot of research on that, but I have never heard of some of those other ones, so I will definitely check that out. Is there a reason why you prefer Property Radar over all the other ones?
Propstream, I don't like the it's not intuition Propstream, and it's I have a hard time finding in Propstream, and I get lost. And people who have structured that application does not think the same way that I do. So yeah, I actually didn't like Propstream because I got totally lost in it all the time. So yeah, that's why I have used it one. I've used it kind of twice and paid for that, but yeah, I'm probably not going to go back until there's something that they have that no one else has.
If I could share 2 pieces on that, I would say number 1, having used hundreds of types of software in my career, the tool that's best for you is the one that you take the time to learn to master. And you heard Anders say, this one doesn't work the way he does or whatever. Once you're in it, if you can commit to learning that software and having literally been an author of computer software that most users don't use about 5 or 10% of the capability. I'm not saying you should spend all the money on the upgrades, but if you can learn to use the tools that are given to you, you're going to go far. And number 2, I would say if you're newer, find somebody who's doing what you want to do and either do it with them or alongside them. I happen to work in the probate space here in Southern California. If you're an investor or wholesaler and you want to market probates, let's talk. I have the data and I buy from 4 different sources. One allows me to share it with somebody on my team. So you don't have to pay for the data for phone calls for that case. There are other people who cold call or call a certain geographical area or call distressed properties. Find somebody who's doing that and work with them and use the data for free, but more importantly, see what their process is and see if you can't use that yourself to help you be successful.
Hey, Bill, you know what? There's one thing too, like if I'm ever looking at a property, if you're buying and stuff like that, a lot of the agencies actually have CoStar. You can ask, hey, can you give me that CoStar report on that? And they'll give it to you.
Yeah, and we have people on this call who are CoStar members. Now you're talking about CoStar would mean commercial property or multifamily, non-residential.
I don't know if that would help or not. So.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And also really more and more for free. More and more in metro areas, the MLS has more and more multifamily. I want to say about 80%, 90% of the multifamily deals that I saw in LoopNet or CoStar were in the MLS as well. Some agents don't belong to the MLS, but most and more do. So, and Andrea says she used Retran. By the way, Kevin introduced me to current title rep Dave Garcia. Thank you, Kevin. So Andrea, nice shout out for Kevin. Okay, any other questions for Kevin while we have the opportunity to deal with a real estate professional of his caliber?
Just a note, quick note to chime in here. I use a couple of programs, one being Real Estate Networking Riches. And I'm sorry, that's for marketing purposes. The program that I use, one is Connected Investors, and that's it has thousands of properties in there. You place an initial payment up front, and then on a monthly, it's about $100. Has quite a bit of properties, and the good thing about it is quite often you buy into these programs and they don't have a lot of the contact information, and you have to pay additional for emails or phone numbers. And this one particular program, being Connected Investors, allows up to 10,000 downloads of property contact information. So some of them are automatically included within the information that you could download, while others, for whatever reason, are not included, and you have to skip trace on it. And the skip trace, you could get 10,000 skip traces per month. So
Wow.
I think that's quite beneficial, especially because some other programs give you very minimal property information, and you have to pay extra above, like, I don't know, a couple hundred. You have to pay extra to get that contact information. So
What was the name of that?
Connected Investors.
Connected Investors.
And that they have a networking besides that actual program, which you have to pay into, but they have real estate agents, buyers, sellers, investors. I mean, the whole gamut. So
Do you have video groups like this too? Video meetups?
they not that I've seen, no. They have some like training sessions where they'll show you on a daily basis. I believe it's at noon. They have, a short half-hour stint of training, and then twice a week they have additional training in the afternoons. I think Tuesdays or Thursdays, something like that. So the downside, when I've needed questions answered on the weekends, it's not as easy to get a hold of somebody because you'll have to wait, on the wait line for customer support. But, a little bit follow-up is necessary when you call and actually speak with somebody. I've had to call like 3 times about the same issue, but still, I think for, the price, it's a good program.
Great.
Thank you.
We have a question here. I didn't ignore this one, Catherine. I just was kind of waiting for the right time, but I'll jump in now. Kevin, we have a question from Catherine Johnson. I don't know if you saw that. And she asks, how would you advise a team to get started in real estate? How did you get started?
So the way I got started, after college, I worked at a bank, and it was called Household Bank. Household Bank was, you guys may have known of Household Financial, Beneficial Financial, the finance companies. Household Bank was basically a finance lender with a bank facade. So we were 100% lenders. Yeah, we were bankers, but we were lenders. It was all about doing loans. And from there, long story short, ended up being the training manager at Home Savings because they bought Household Bank, and started at a title company because they were looking for someone with lending background that knew training and how to be a training manager. It was like they were looking exactly for me. So anyway, so started there. And that got my foot in the door at a title company. It was Countrywide's title company. They would hire and fire quickly. They would hire a lot when rates went down. When rates went up, they would fire everybody. And I knew my time was short in that role. So I said, I looked at the sales reps, and I'm like, I think I could do what they're doing. They're selling title insurance. I know a bunch of people that do loans. I could sell title to them. And I looked at the numbers, and I was like, it takes that many numbers to be the number one. I did the math. I was like, I could do that. If I just do this, I broke it down in my head. If I do this amount of work, I should be able to get that many title orders. And I did that and took it from there and ran with it. And so that's it kind of one thing led to another. My banking career and my lending background led to the job. But for someone starting out in real estate, I really recommend that you join, if you're trying to be a real estate agent, you want to be with a real estate team where you can get trained. If you're trying to be a real estate investor, you need to be under the tutelage of someone, or I mean, Bill is a great guy because Bill loves working with investors, someone that can help you understand how to analyze, what to be looking for, and all the sort of stuff that you have to do. So it depends on what aspect of real estate you're looking for, but I highly recommend, yes, there are real estate training courses, but they don't necessarily train you how to do real estate, right? So I highly recommend that you get with someone that can kind of train you on the job, or that you can kind of work under them, so to speak, while you're doing your first couple of transactions. That's the best way to learn and maneuver through all the challenges that come up in a real estate transaction.
I would add on to it. I also started in lending myself. But my best career advice to somebody who's young, you say your team, is get any job you can with the biggest company you can in the industry that you're interested in. Advice I gave my daughter, and she started with, she was interested in fashion merchandising and started with Macy's in New York. And because they're big, you have a little small piece of, but you see the whole picture that you're never going to see when you start at a smaller company. And if you look at your initial couple of jobs really as kind of like college, where they're paying you, you're not paying tuition, and you gain the experience working at a beneficial home loan or home savings, or in my case, Great Western Bank, where I started, you see such a high volume and such a big piece of the market, then you can find where you want to go into. And the other part of your question, Catherine, is what did you do as far as college and study? I wouldn't recommend college today. If you're interested in real estate, take that money, use it as your nest egg for investing. Get a job in the industry, learn the business from the inside. And when you find a deal, use the money you're saving from college to invest in real estate. If that's your interest to be an entrepreneur in real estate, I don't see that college really offers you. If you know the basic skills to communicate and math and such, I don't see the value. Certainly it's fun to go and feel educated, and that might be important to you, but I don't see it from a business point of view. We had another question. Someone asked a question. Yes, go ahead.
Bill, this is Alan.
Yes.
Hi, Sandra. What is your experience with the Connected Investor? I heard that you have to put money out, plus there is membership, monthly fee, and all this thing, and some negative comment I heard. Can you share with us more detail about this organization?
Make sure. Can you hear me? Okay. I've been using them for about 6 months, and I've networked with several people via the site, as well as downloaded many properties. Now, you have to do cold calls, if you're in the business, fix and flips, in terms of reaching out to homeowners. They provide a multitude of phone numbers, a multitude of emails. You get both the property address and the homeowner's address. So I can easily tell you, if you choose a city, you could probably get upwards of about $500 500 properties per download for that city. It will let you choose parameters such as probates, such as, I could actually get in there now, but, a multitude. It'll allow some multifamily units. I think it's primarily geared towards single families, but yes, you pay in a certain amount to get into the program. The cost is about $100 a month. It gives you up to 10,000 skip tracing for homeowners in terms of phone numbers and additional emails that aren't showing. So I would suggest it. It's helpful. It has many other options within the program itself. It really is dependent on, what it is you're looking for. The other program that I've used that was referred to me was Real Estate Wealth Network. And that one does the same thing as Connected Investors to a certain extent. You don't have the additional networking options because it's more closed-based program. And it wasn't my program that I bought into there. I think the costs were similar to buy into the program, but you get far less skip tracing per month. I think it's only like 400 skip traces per month, which is not a lot if you're doing a lot of phone calling. And in terms of the actual program, it does allow you to do certain marketing to the homeowners that Connected Investors does not. So if I wanted to market to my homeowners via Connected Investors, the program does not allow or have that option. So they do different things, very similar in a sense, but I prefer Connected Investors myself, just
Okay, thank you.
a choice.
Can I
Hey,
ask a question?
Sandra, does Connected Investors, the information that they provide, is it scrubbed for do not call lists and those kinds of things?
I've never actually had, I mean, you get your share of people saying, you know, don't call, I'm not selling. You know, where did you get my phone number? But it's private, it's public information. So I've not reached anybody where they said I'm on the do not call list as far as that goes. So I really couldn't answer that other than, you know, there's a multitude of homeowners for which you have the phone numbers and emails available to you. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So do they provide, because we're syndicators, we buy old crummy homes and, make them into nice apartments and stuff like that. So I'm always looking for new investors. Would that be a good, and this is the first time I'm hearing of it, would that be a good source of potential investors, that program?
Yes, they do have both in terms of access to, for you to network and meet both investors as well as, I want to say pretty much across the board. You have real estate agents, you have wholesalers, you have fix and flippers. I mean, it's just a matter of what you're looking for.
I'm specifically looking for investors. So usually that's come in at 50K a pop. Would they have that?
Within the program that I have access to, they have investors that are pre-scrubbed. So they've verified that these are in fact legitimate investors, and you can have access to them by way of the program.
What was the cost, and did you find it worth it? And thank you very much. This is great.
So I'm still in the process of building, my network, but the initial cost, it varies. I attended one of those preliminary Zoom training type of things where they gave a discount if you sat through, a couple hours worth of the program. I want to say the program was upwards of $2,000 initially, and then they give you a discount based on their offering at the time. So I could safely say it's under that. And then what they did to upgrade that program, it's called PIN, P-I-N. They charge, it's $97 per month. At least that's what I bought into. And you have access to the 10,000 skip tracing and, a multitude of other options within the program itself. That is the program, again, that does not do direct mail or allow you to do direct mail and, postcards or whatnot. But it does allow the download of, I've been able to download about 500 properties at a time. So depending on, your parameters, because your parameters might be much different than mine. But if you go vague, you can get up to that many per download. It just varies.
You know,
Thank you.
if you know anybody, if you end up taking the program, you find a rep or something for them, love to have them come on and maybe present the product, because I think it's something that would fit for a
Yeah.
number of our investors.
I can talk to you.
Let's wrap up. I have one last question I kind of let sit for a bit. Well, Braulio, maybe that's something you and I should talk about offline. I think that's probably not going to have time. I want to thank Kevin for being on today. I work with him regularly. He's been a great friend and a great resource. He put his info in the chat box, but more importantly, he gave his time here today to answer questions and open up a little bit. So please, everybody, either do a hand raise or shout out or some sort of a clap or something virtual for Kevin Sales, coach and title rep and teacher and great guy. So Kevin, thank you so much for all your help as always.
Thanks for having me. I love being with your group. You guys are growing and growing, and it's just a great platform, Bill. So thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. Hey, everybody, we do this every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Thursday at 4 o'clock, I do a program on probate. Wednesday, tomorrow at 2, Annabelle Pacheco, one of my team members, does it on multifamily investing. Tuesdays at 2, Paul Krause. Paul, you should put in the chat box. He does a great program on remodeling. It was just fascinating, the eye to detail. I don't even know what the heck he's talking about. The flooring and the coloring and it's not supposed to go to the boards, and I don't know. It was fascinating what I learned today, and I've been in the business quite a while. So Paul has a special program on remodeling and more for high-end luxury homes, things like that. So we have a variety of programs. I'd love to invite you to participate. Thanks for being here. I'm Bill Gross. If you have any questions, call me, text me, email me, LAProbateExpert.com. Dave Warnerman asking for 1 quick minute, Dave.
Well, I just wanted to double check with Nick. Nick, just coincidentally, he and I have a call scheduled at 3 o'clock. Pardon me, 4 o'clock. So I will see you.
Nick, you're late.
I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
Bill, you rock.
Thank you.
We love you.